Welcome one, welcome all to episode 236 of the Xbox Expansion Pass, recorded on Saturday, July 27th, 2024. I'm your host, Luke Lohr, the InsipidGhost, as always joined by my co-host, the intrepid Captain Logun. Alongside the captain today, we are joined by one Colt Eastwood, prolific Xbox content creator, here to chat with us about the games industry ongoings, unionization, the new direction of Xbox Game Pass, and it's the end of an era for the Xbox 360. As always, we hope you enjoy the show. Gentlemen, we like to start the show by offering words of kindness to those who have made our gaming weeks better. But first, Colt Eastwood, how are you, my friend?
Doing really well. We're in the quiet part of the year after showcase and E3 stuff. And then we're just, I am just playing some old stuff that I never got around to. So I've been kind of just hobbling along with that.
I've been enjoying a great bit of just playing games myself, which is pretty darn amazing. Because we did so much talking in the last few weeks. I've just gotten to play, which has been quite nice.
Yeah.
It's been quite nice. So it's your first time on the show. We're going to have you plug all your stuff, but I also want to figure out how my boy Logan's doing. You and I have not been able to podcast together for like a month because we were both rotating vacations.
Yeah, it's been really good. I just got back from Festa Legends, a Sea of Thieves convention, and had an amazing time. It was great. Really reinvigorated my love for Sea of Thieves, and we just got season 13, so it's pretty hot out there. I'm not going to lie, but it's also hot in the game. So I'm also really happy about that.
Oh, see, that's a double joke for season 13 of Sea of Thieves, for sure. Logan, you should load some pictures into the overlay on StreamYard side, because I want to show off to our amazing audience. And I see some incredible people in chat. I see James Suddy, a coffee chick. I think coffee chick's first time. It's nice to see you here. Nerd Chat, Captain Logan, of course, hanging out with us in the chat. Also, Ellery, X-Bacon Gaming, Rick Davis, and Nisa Hauer here. Guys, anybody watching, I want to show this dope picture that I got to take with one Colt Eastwood here at the Xbox Game Showcase. I got to hang out with him and, of course, Idle Sloth there. Super fun to get to meet Colt in person for the first time. We met Colt at the Xbox Content Creator Dinner that Jez put together that first night, right?
Yeah. That was funny because that moment haunts me because it was really loud in there and you introduced yourself and I didn't hear you say Luke. And then it didn't click with me. And I sat down and I said to, I think maybe Sean LeBrie or somebody. And I was like, wait, who did I just meet? And he says, it's Luke from Expansion Pass. I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally know. I didn't put it together. And I had this moment where I got up and went back over to you because I'm like, oh my gosh, duh. I did the same thing with Idle Sloth the year before. It was in the lobby of Summer Games Fest. It was really loud. And he kept saying his name Idle over and over, and I didn't catch it. And I was like, nice to meet you. And my wife was next to me. She goes, that's Idle Sloth. I'm like, it usually went on his shirt. But when we all meet together in person, it's such a whirlwind of emotions and excitement that sometimes I just can't even like take it all in. I have those moments so many times because you can go to these events and meet people like Jason Ronald or the guy that makes Baldur's Gate, and it's really cool. But meeting people that you make content with or that you watch their shows, like it's so exciting. I kind of equate it as like the same thing. It's such an honor to meet people that we get to work around and that we see make content. And I think it's all of it's really exciting, and it's over my head sometimes. I just can't even keep up with it.
I'm the same way. It's one of those events are really good. Now I'm an introvert by nature. I do really well in front of a camera, but in crowds and meeting so many people, sometimes I get intimidated. But I think it's really awesome when we're all able to get together, not just take the pictures and have the moments, but like to look out at the landscape and see the people behind the content. Because at that dinner, I saw people I admired, people I'd butted heads with, people I'd gotten to like, like figure out like what it is they do, but then to get to share a meal and see the other side of them is so helpful. Getting to talk with John from Xbox Era, who I'd only known as Sikamiko, right? Getting to meet Jez Corden in person was really cool. Like I've long said that you're the best, if not one of the best, if not the best producers in all of our Xbox content creator group, and getting to just pick your brain and hear your thoughts on stuff and meet the man behind the camera and the name, and meet your wife and meet Idol's partner and see all these people. It was just such a cool thing to get to know the people, that I think it helps build connections and build content. Like TKO Asante, that was just really cool seeing in person. Everybody just loves gaming. It was just a fun event, and I'm willing to bet that Logan got to have something similar because he was at Fest of Legends, right?
Yeah, that was similar thing. Like last year was the first year that they did like a North America Sea of Thieves Fest, and getting to run into people that you've like known for years. Like, I mean, most of my crew, like I met them last year, but we've been together like 6 some years in Sea of Thieves, and having that opportunity to like get together to actually like go, like I did something every night that was awesome. We did mini golf, we went to a brewery, we did bowling, we did an escape room, and this is like on top of staying up all day to go to panels. And like I got to do there was a trivia event that just questions about Sea of Thieves to see like who was going to actually like win, and just it was awesome to get that opportunity to get to like meet everyone and get to see what was going on with new creators and actually get to meet new people. And that was actually one of my biggest takeaways this year, is I got to meet a bunch of new people who are just instant friends at this point. Like I'm just super glad that I've gotten to like broaden the group of people that I interact with. So now it's like full of follows and likes and getting to know their content and stuff. And that's something that I genuinely missed at FanFest. I really, really wanted to go this year. I was looking forward to it, and I was like, oh, dang it, Luke is going to be there. And I really wanted to see like all the people that I've like known on Xbox to be like content creators and stuff. And Colt would have been definitely in that lineup. People that I've been like standing in line to go meet and shake hands and be like, hi, how are you? I'm a fan. That's all I got. Just leave it at that.
Well, I tell the story a lot. And like Colt was saying, he's like, he didn't quite hear who I was in the moment. Like I had that happen. People came up to me and were like, Luke, what's up? And I was just like, hello. And you get it. Sometimes it takes like, tell me your avatar name, tell me what content you make. And then it's like, oh, that's right. Because it's just, we go for a year where I'm looking for Xbox Ultimate or Xbox this, or, you know, the name, the Captain Logun, you know, I will look for that. And so it's really cool to get to kind of put those faces to names. And so, Colt, we have a tradition here. Every episode we give shout outs to people that made our gaming weeks better. And I unintentionally am shouting you out here because we interacted on Twitter yesterday. I was like, oh my gosh, I've not gotten a chance to work with him. And you were so cool because I messaged you at like midnight my time. Hey, can you come on? And you were just like, yep, let's do it. And I was so happy. Now, I'm embarrassed to say I rolled over and told my wife. She was like, that's great, honey. She doesn't do video games. She's like, that's nice. It's like,
I know
hey,
what that's like.
on the show. That's good. That's good. But thank you for joining us. You're my words of kindness this week, Colt. Thank you for joining us, man.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Would you like me to give my? I mean, I've never done this before.
Yeah, words of kindness. Who's made your gaming week better?
Well, I'm glad that we opened up by talking about about our experience at Showcase and FanFest, because I have a small group chat of the people that I normally hang around with, which is Sean LeBrie, who works for the Game Tracker group, and then Dante Moody, who's a friend of mine that I've met and like party chatted with and got to meet in real life, and that Blue Number, who's on the Renegade Realm podcast. Like we have this little group chat, and sometimes when things kind of go awry in life, or even in maybe social media drama that's going on, these people rally around and we help each other. And they were messaging me yesterday and making me laugh and showing their support, and they have made things better. And I had an enjoyable afternoon and finished the stellar Assassin's Creed Syndicate yesterday, a game that I just didn't even give a chance back in 2015. It's been sitting there waiting for me ever since. And I played it like in force for a couple weeks. And so, yeah, I had a really good moment this weekend, thanks to friends and an old classic.
That's cool, man.
That's awesome.
That's a big win. That's a big win. It's funny how just those friends get you through those moments, and it's not about video games there, you know?
Yeah.
It's just the little stuff. And
like
getting to clean it. Yeah.
And been there for me.
Hey man, I love units. We all go through it. We all go through it.
Yep.
But cleaning games out of your backlog's a good feeling too. That's a cool feeling. Isn't Syndicate the one that it launched really poorly because it was in that generation switch over for Ubisoft? Is that the right one? And then
Unity was the one in Paris that
okay, gotcha.
launched poorly. I played that one at launch, and the performance or glitches wasn't my issue. I just thought the game was pretty dull. So when Syndicate was announced the year later, I was like, I think I'm done with Assassin's Creed, even though I love them. So I never played it, but going back, that's the one where you play as Jacob and Evie Fry, the brother and sister in London. And it's in Victorian era, industrial area London. And they just captured that world so beautifully. And I needed an open world game because controversially, I'm excited about Shadows. I want to play the Shinobi Samurai game a lot for Assassin's Creed. I'm really excited. And the wait for November just seems like an eternity. And I went back and just picked up Syndicate. I was like, I had a playthrough like just a half an hour in, and I was completely lost. And then I just got lost into enjoying a game that I think is pretty good. I saw Clint in the chat says, I love Syndicate, which I hear that a lot. I absolutely love Syndicate. And then I hear the people say, I cannot stand it. And Syndicate and Mirage are the lowest rated AC games in the series. They're a 76 out of 100 on Metacritic. And overall, I think the series is pretty good.
Yeah. I like Assassin's Creed. I have my favorites and my ones that I just didn't jump into because of time whatnot, because they're big investments. But like, it's surprising. Like Mirage, I thought was really good when I played it.
Yeah.
I didn't finish it though. But Syndicate, I'm really glad you were able to give that game a chance, because I go back to old games all the time and find myself free of the conversation of like the zeitgeist. I can just enjoy the game. And sometimes that's
no one's
really
talking
nice.
about that old dusty game.
Exactly.
And it could take an hour to get past the old, last decade's mechanics of any game. Like when I play a Syndicate, it has that, this is the decade old, and some things haven't been brought into gaming yet. But it's still really good. And once you get over that, I played it on PC because somebody gifted me the game way back in the day. And, I played it like a half an hour and I said, I'm not doing this. I can't do this. I can't do another long, boring Assassin's Creed game because the last one burned me. But anyway, I don't know. I just enjoyed it. And I don't typically have a backlog. And a lot of people talk about backlogs, but I will drop a game if I don't like it. And I never really want to go back. There's so many great video games. To me, I don't really keep a backlog on the back burner. If I dropped it, I'm probably not going back. So when I get down to time like this, where there's not a lot of games releasing, I'm like, oh gosh, I need something. And I picked up Fallout London yesterday, and it's crashing a lot, but I'm excited to get into that too.
I'm anxious. I am going to ask you about your thoughts on that one, just because that's such a unique story of how that game kind of came to be. Plus, it's kind of carrying the Fallout torch at the moment. So, all right. Yeah. Logan, what about your words of kindness this week, my friend?
I want to shout out a coffee chick and Coppertail Wolf, because those two are two that I met at Festival Legends. And I got to really just enjoy my time, especially with Coffee Chick, just get to actually jump in. She needed to get her season pass finished up before Thursday. So we tried really, really hard on Tuesday and Wednesday to try and get that knocked out. And we didn't get it, but it is what it is. But it was nice to get to jump in and play some Sea of Thieves with some folks that I'd never played with. And that genuinely just like it's exciting to get to know like a new crew. You don't ever, it's rare that you get to jump in, because most folks on Sea Thieves, they usually jump in and they got their people, the people that they're used to. Everyone's got their role. Everyone knows how much you can mess around and get in stupid situations. But to get to meet someone and actually get to go and play with them afterwards was really just amazing. So we've got plans to jump into, because you know how I've been trying to get back into Gears 4, right? Gears 4 and 5. I haven't actually gotten to go and actually do those campaigns. Funny enough, neither has she. So we are trying to set like a day where we can actually get that, because dude, E-Day is going to be amazing. And there's no way that I'm not going to I'm going to be one of those like, oh no, I didn't get all the Gears done. I can't wait for E-Day, but I still don't know the story behind like Gears of War 4 and 5. So that's like on the docket to do. And I'm just like, yes, I have purpose. I have reason. We're going to do this. It's going to be fun.
You're going to enjoy it. You and Coffee Check are going to have a blast. Gears 4, I really loved. It's a little heavy. It's a little heavy on robot fighting, but I think you'll still enjoy it.
Yeah.
The mechanics are great. We remember that it was
the gunplay is amazing regardless.
Oh yeah, and I do love me some Gears, but I mean it was Xbox One's kind of and Gears 5 are kind of like peak Xbox One in terms of graphics, I would argue. Just at the
gunplay in 4 and 5 is miles better than 3, the original trilogy, because when I finished, or I think it was right before 5 was about to come out, I went back and played 4 again, and then I was like, I need to make sure I've got everything done in Gears. And I went back to Gears 3 and I played through the whole game from start to finish. And I was like, it just feels so sluggish compared to how punchy and poppy the gunplay is. And I think that Coalition's Gears is like, people don't like it when I say this, but I think it's peak third-person shooting mechanics. Like, I feel so good when I play that game, the way you can aim and acquire sights on enemies, and the movement feels really cool. And then, of course, the visuals of 4 and 5 are in the upper echelons of Unreal graphics. They look amazing for an action adventure title like that. So I'm really excited to see what they do on E-Day. Everybody is
pumped. I'm pumped. E-Day is just, dude. I was talking with her the other day and about the trailer, and that moment when Dom is just like reaches down and grabs Marcus's hand and stuff. It's just like, and the music swells.
Yeah, the music.
Oh god, it's so good.
Colt and I were in the room when that went off, and like we were sitting. He was down in front more, and I was kind of up and to the side. By the way, looking over at Jeff Keeley's
we were in
computer.
like the second to the last row of the front.
Right,
we were in the back of the front section.
Yeah. I was kind of up in the second area, but Jeff Keeley's very bright monitor, because he doesn't use dark mode, was a little in my face there. But when that Mad World started pinging in, and we were all seeing Marcus and Dom and figuring out what this was, we were all just going nuts. Because us gearheads, when we saw the TV in the background, we knew it was Gears, right? Because some people like, you did or didn't know, but we all were just like, yeah, that was just such a great moment. And I see people in chat talking about like Clint saying the Mad World music and whatnot, and Jam Pack Sam saying never played Judgment or 4, but it's on the list to get back to. Play Judgment. Yeah, don't skip on Judgment. It's different, but it's not bad.
People Can Fly didn't quite nail everything, but it's a cool enough story, especially if you like Baird, to go back and like play Judgment.
Yep. I got crucified in my interview with Cliffy B after the E-Day trailer because I said Baird made the chainsaw, and I knew it wasn't Baird, but I was panicking in the moment because it was Cliff. So I was like, whoops.
Scrub.
I know. Let me give a shout out real quick to one Jam Pack Sam, who's been a member for 2 months. Thank you so much. He says, cheers, all happy XEP Day. Thank you so much, my friend. And shout out to Mr. Clint Coombs for gifting an XEP membership. You guys are awesome. Thank you for helping us keep the lights on and the content coming. Logan, before we jump into our topics, did you want to share some pictures from Legends real quick?
Real quick, I just wanted, this was the trivia contest that I got to host, which was fantastic because there were some real layup questions in there, but there are also some really hard questions in there, and people kept asking for harder questions. And then when they would get grumpy about it, I had the privilege of being able to say that I didn't come up with the questions. I was just reading them. This was a really nice photo that just someone managed to, like, I didn't get any real good photos that weekend, but this was one of the ones that a friend of mine took. And then this is my crew. This is not everyone, but a large majority of the crews in my community. We all found this brewery and got to actually like hang out, have some drinks. The campfire was like the perfect temperature given the weather in Ohio. So it was awesome. It was nice. I'm looking forward to next year where, Fest of Legends is another thing. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's like when you see Guardian Con kind of come around and go, and people are like all going to the same thing for the same reason. Everyone, you can talk to anyone about anything around the game and just instantly make connections. And I don't know, I just love that. It's you come back with this like social high that you're just like, yeah, I can't wait to get back into the games and jump into it, you know?
Sea of Thieves is one of those, it's such a unique game. I mean, I know we all remember, all three of us remember when it first came out, and like people either jumped in or jumped out, you know, because it just, there wasn't a lot of content, but the formula was there. And it's just come such a long way to the point where you're having cons in America, in Europe, celebrating, and Sea of Thieves is, it's doing extremely well, launching season 13, which is not indicative of how many years or seasons it's been, because they had stuff before there were seasons. But I jumped in last night and sailed a bit in season 13, saw some of the new forts a little bit, which I'm really impressed by. I'm really glad Rare and Xbox stuck with this one. I'm glad they got it to more people. It's a special game, a unique game, and special.
It's especially given like the pillars that we have now, thanks to like Bethesda and stuff. There are so many amazing IPs that we can actually like start to rally behind when it comes to Xbox conventions and stuff like that. It's like there's a little bit of everything for everyone, and a little like taste of excitement that you can kind of dip your toes into if you haven't gotten a chance. Like how many folks on the Xbox side that are maybe fresh to Xbox had never jumped into any of the Fallout games before the TV show and are now kind of getting into it and seeing it. It's like and those are such great ways. Like I would love for Rare to have like a DreamWorks studio movie like about Sea of Thieves. Like that would be amazing, and that would be another great way to have people come into the IP itself and then get into the ecosystem. So yeah, I love that this is like a new pillar of Sea of Xbox, and that it's always kind of one of those like No Man's Sky stories that you can always call back to and be like, look, if you have the right people, if you have the right passion, sometimes you won't hit it right out the gate, but you can always get there. And sometimes you can get some really amazing things at that point.
It exists unto itself in the live service realm as well. And thanks to the Activision acquisition, they've got WoW, they've got Overwatch, they've got COD, they've got Sea of Thieves, they've got the Fallout franchise. They've got so many pillars that exist. Elder Scrolls. I mean, I could keep going. It's
now
Starfield.
Dude, QuakeCon talking about like the Starfield and Elder Skyrim mods from the creator stuff coming out and stuff. It's like that's wild. And we're now getting into that territory.
It's neat how many plates that Xbox is juggling, and like they're juggling a lot and hitting it right, not hitting it right. They're having to make the tough decisions, which I'm really curious to see how we'll look back on the closure of Tango Gameworks and the decision to axe out Redfall. I mean, we're talking about Sea of Thieves, which launched pretty rough. Talking about Fallout and 76 launched rough. Redfall is no more. Tango Gameworks is gone. Like making tough choices. I'm curious how we'll look back 2 years from now, 3 years from now.
Yeah.
Because Xbox has a lot of plates that they're spinning. Colt, because we have you and you're new to our XEP audience, I'm curious, a few months removed from Tango Gameworks and Redfall and some of the closures and then the great hype that came from the showcase, are you excited by what you see? Are you happy by those decisions? Nervous? How are you feeling?
About the when you talk about them losing Tango Gameworks, I mean, of course, that was like a whole problem with Hi-Fi Rush was really well received, but they expected, to make a certain amount of money back, and they didn't. Outside of Hi-Fi Rush, I don't know how much money, Tango Gameworks was making on their own. But, everyone always says, oh, they got rid of Tango, but they never lament that they got rid of Arcane Austin, which for 20 years had made really great games until Redfall. So I kind of think it's a disservice to that group when people say, oh, we lost Tango Gameworks, and they don't even mention Arcane Austin, who made Prey, right? They made Prey and the first Dishonored, and they've just had a really good pedigree of gaming. But Redfall was like their worst thing they've ever made. So looking forward, it just sucks when Xbox has to say, hey, we need to make cuts, because those studios weren't making money. But looking forward, you've got Avowed and Indiana Jones, Flight Sim, and maybe Towerborn this year. I think it's probably getting pushed. They have a pretty good year looking forward, and hopefully those games are ready to rock. Hearing things like all over the board. So I'm just kind of waiting week by week to see how everything's going to shake out for Xbox, but I'm excited about just about everything they have in the works.
They've got such a crowded fall. That's the interesting thing. They've really got to figure out how to navigate this fall. Nisa Hauer in chat, Stalker 2. Yes, Stalker 2, one of the news topics, and we can just jump into that one. So, Logan, we're going to go a little out of order on our notes side, if you don't mind.
How dare you?
It's always good to do that.
Son of a bee. Make me scroll down.
So Stalker 2 was delayed to November 20th, and nobody in their right mind that knows the story behind this ever gets to be upset at any delay. The developers behind Stalker delay anything, but take care, Clint. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for the gifted sub. Stalker 2 being delayed means that Xbox now has to navigate their release of Avowed, their release of Indiana Jones, the distribution of its content for Call of Duty, the distribution for its content for Starfield and Diablo, and I feel like there's Flight Sim 24, possibly Towerborn. They've got a lot that they've got to put pieces onto the board to figure out how best to distribute that content. One of the things that, hey, Addy Dotun, good to see you in chat, bud. One of the things that Xbox has done in the past few weeks is, I think, give one of the best months or string of months ever for Xbox Game Pass. Admittedly, next to the price hike, but I just wrapped up Lords of the Fallen, Still Wakes the Deep, and Flintlock, and now I'm in Kunitsugami. All provided to me by Xbox Game Pass, and that's an incredible slate. But like, there was no way, had I not been on vacation or in this lull, would I have gotten to all of that right there. They've now got new content for so many games. They've got to find ways for their players to be able to access it, and that's the struggle that they face. That's the struggle that they have with this fall lineup. I'm glad we got a date for Stalker. I want to see dates on this other stuff. I imagine Gamescom is the place for that. But still, it's a tough thing to navigate now that they have all these plates spinning, where you're going to put this content to where it doesn't eat the audience or the article space or any other spotlight element, but also provide and diversify your catalog. It's an interesting conundrum. Any thoughts on that?
The irony of this lineup for Xbox when you're looking at like the other side of the fence and you're just like, did you guys want to like subscribe to Game Pass for a couple months while things are kind of slow over there?
Like the Xbox has no games now, it's PlayStation, flip the switch kind of thing.
Saying like, hey, like every once in a while, I'll boot up my Switch and hang out in there for a little bit if things are kind of in a lull for Xbox. I'm just saying, like, other people want to play some games. We got some games, maybe.
It's a quiet year on PlayStation and a quiet year on Switch, all things considered, comparatively.
It's a quiet year for Xbox with really the only meaningful game they've had was a long wait until May with Hellblade 2. And then Hellblade 2 lasted all of like 5 days in the cycle. And then now it's the long wait until maybe October. Maybe like Indiana Jones is in October. And when you talked about Shattered Space, like Shattered Space is supposed to be, I would assume Shattered Space is going to be the very beginning of September. And then in November, they have Flight Sim. Supposedly they have Avowed in mid-November, and they have there was something else you named.
Wasn't Towerborn?
I don't think Towerborn is going to be in 2024.
Well, Stalker 2.
Stalker 2, yeah. So Stalker 2, which isn't their game, but it's a big game they paid for to be exclusive to Xbox for a few months.
Yeah. It's their Stellar Blade. It's like a Stellar Blade or equivalent on the PlayStation side.
Yeah, they're just not publishing it. But yeah, I mean, they paid for a short bit of exclusivity there. But Xbox has this problem now where they basically starved their fans of first-party content and big Game Pass content for the entire year outside of one little week of Hellblade 2. And now I said this complicates their window yesterday on social media because now they have everything that they offer for 2024 coming in within less than a 2-month window, which is not good for Game Pass, in my opinion. I don't know how that business runs exactly, but my thing is where you want people to continue paying month after month for Game Pass, and you give them almost nothing all year, and then in a 1 month really a 1 month window, they get everything they've ever wanted. People will not continue to subscribe if the consistency isn't there with releases. And so Xbox needs to spread their games out, because it's not only them. They're going up against Dragon Age Veilguard comes out around that window. Warhammer Space Marine 2 comes out in that window. Even their own Call of Duty comes out in near that window at the end of October. So they've got a mess that they've made because their games continually get quietly delayed. They won't give release dates. So that's been frustrating for me as a person who makes content for Xbox and reports on what's going on or what we can look forward to, because they're kind of in a bit of quiet chaos right now.
Clint, I was thinking about Clint. Colt, can I pitch a perspective and see if maybe that might resonate with you a little bit about their game plan on this?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
So, I kind of think like with them kind of backloading a lot of the Game Pass, obviously we've seen like what's going on with 2024 as far as their games catalog has been pretty light for the most part. If you backload a lot of Game Pass, what you're doing is giving a lot of people a lot of content that they know that they want to play, and they're not necessarily going to really have all of the time to be able to do that. And it kind of coincides with the Christmas time, and consoles are typically like the main gift for a lot of kids and stuff like that. So my perspective here is that if they're backloading a lot of stuff for 2024, what that will do will try to ensure that folks have enough to get them through the holiday season, as well as the first few months of 2025, knowing that that will potentially give them a little bit of leeway till the next E3 time period where they can kind of announce stuff. And then there will be a little bit of a lull during summer, as there always is, before they start to kind of push out some more of that content come the fall period. And does that resonate at all? Do you feel like that? Because in my mind, if I'm going to be buying Game Pass on a per month basis, I will look at each month knowing that, okay, well, this game's coming out in June, this game's coming out in July. I don't want to play that game, so I can cancel for this month. But if I'm sitting in November and there's 4 games that I want to play, I'm not going to be able to complete all of those games by the time, December, January rolls around, maybe hopefully February if I have time, but that will help kind of keep me locked in, knowing that there is a lot that I want to, that value will remain for a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's a really good point that I didn't think about. When you're illustrating that, it helps me understand that if November is packed with 3 or 4 games that somebody wants, then they're going to say, I'm going to keep Game Pass until I get through those 4 games that I really, really want. My issue is that Xbox needs to continually have a cadence of great games, and they put in a lot of like small little gems, but they need to have enough popular or exciting content coming every month for people to say, oh, I'm going to stay with my Game Pass subscription. And honestly, I think when people subscribe to Game Pass, I would say the majority of them just hold on to Game Pass for extended months. I don't think there's really any amount of people that subscribe to Game Pass for 1 month ago. Well, I tried that and I'm out. I think that would really be a small minority of people, because Game Pass is so enticing that people just continue to pay for it. If they're into gaming, if they game regularly and they've subscribed, I think they're hooked.
Yeah.
But Xbox needs to figure out a way to, I wouldn't fault them for backloading everything into the fall. They need to do something about remedying the problem of slow months. And Xbox knew full well going into these years, like 2023 and 2022 were so anemic for them with their first party studios, and they did nothing to remedy Game Pass. And I always told people because I know Xbox can look forward and go, we got nothing for 5 months, or we don't really have anything major for 8 months.
Yeah.
That they should be out there, knocking on doors and seeing if they can bring anything brand new into Game Pass. Like, I'll just do something like crazy. Let's pretend like Warhammer Space Marine 2 is supposed to come out in February of next year instead of this fall. Xbox should be saying, I don't think we have anything for the first quarter of 2025. We need to grab that game. We need to offer a big amount of money, because if the press release goes out or the advertisement goes out that Warhammer Space Marine, a big AAA game that's multi-platform, that you can get that on Game Pass day and day basically for free, it will sell game subscriptions. But I feel like Xbox really looks at Game Pass as, how can we get through this with the least amount of money possible? And that's probably how you're supposed to run a business. But I think Xbox needs to be way more bold. They need to push hard on Microsoft to get more money to do things like that. It's really nuanced because they spend a lot of money on studios. But you buy all these studios and then it takes forever for the games to come out. You're kind of starving your Game Pass model when you're not pushing. You can't just push one way, I guess is what I'm saying.
I want to echo and support that thought, because I look at, and chat, please let us know what it is you're thinking as well. But during the Xbox Ultimate sale, I had a pop-up. Hey, Xbox Ultimate sale is going on. This is what you can get as an Xbox Game Pass member. Amazing. Fantastic. I just played all those games I just talked about, Lords of the Fallen, Still Wakes the Deep, Flintlock, and then Kunitsugami. That's an incredible slate, I think, as far as like filling the gaps. But how many people outside of this ecosystem know about it? When you're sending a splash screen onto Xboxes, you're talking to an audience that's already invested. How many people know they can get Game Pass and they know they get their third-party goodness or that AA goodness that comes in and hear about it? Because I don't imagine that people that are on the PlayStation ecosystem are hearing about this unless you're on socials. And that's a very small niche group. Like, you could have 1 million followers on social and still not be reaching the fraction that you need to let people know about Game Pass, I don't think. And so I wonder if they're not reaching too few people to let them know about the value that they do get. And I think the subscribers are 3, 4, 5 months or stacked beyond that. I don't see the 1 and 2 month cancel resub. That's a very small group. I just don't see that as a thing, but not enough people outside of the gaming ecosystem hear about it. And I think that's why Game Pass has perhaps slowed in its numbers going up. I think growth. Thank you. Last heard at 34 million, maybe 35, somewhere in there. I think Call of Duty is a big kick up for it, and it will likely pay dividends. I'm worried about the way they did their tier system. I hear the scuttlebutt of the cloud tier or the ad supported tier and really confusing the messaging there. That said, I want more people to know about Game Pass, and I don't know they do that. Hello, Steven Mewtwo. It's good to see you. He says, hello, new sub here. Thank you for hanging out with us, bud. We hope you're doing well. Thank you for hanging out with us. But yeah, I do they get the message of Game Pass out to enough people?
I think it's tough to say how, because I don't know that we really see like where people are coming in to Xbox from, advertisements because of like Game Pass. I do have a few things that I wanted to kind of like pitch to you guys to see if this is like warranted or not. And Luke, you mentioned, that you see splash screens for like stuff that's on Game Pass on Xbox, and that's a sold market. But how many people that are on Xbox Series consoles actually are subbed? I wonder what that percentage is, and maybe they're still seeing that there is a potential market on the consoles themselves to get subscribed to Game Pass, because they are traditionally people that either buy physical or are just buy the 1 or 2 games a year. Colt, to your point about, how do you maintain the Game Pass numbers, subscriptions like throughout the year, if you aren't grabbing titles to kind of fill in the gaps between those major releases? I tend to still feel like I see a fair amount of third-party content. We saw, I've been trying to remember what the name of it was, but it came out around the time that MLB The Show came to Game Pass.
Outriders.
Outriders, thank you.
We always forget. I played the whole game, but we always forget about that name.
Yes,
even though people really, I think they loved it.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot.
Good game. Forgettable name. But we also had things like Exoprimal in July to try and fill at that. And maybe it wasn't, the hit that it needed to be, but it was something that was a fresh IP from Capcom that they took a chance giving to us. But then I also look at like the concurrency numbers for multiplayer games. Xbox is one of the consoles out there that is persistently pushing games that are multiplayer. So things like Sea of Thieves and Call of Duty coming to Game Pass is going to be huge for concurrency to keep players locked into that multiplayer modes. To make sure that, if there is a lull, there's always Call of Duty to fall back on without having to buy it. Plus it's included. So you've also got like Halo multiplayer, we're going to have Gears eventually, stuff like that to kind of ensure that even if there isn't a launch, like a big launch title, there's always these multiplayer games or these third-party titles that they are still kind of getting to fill out some of the gaps in the major releases and kind of justify the kind of back end loading of games if I can. Just my perspective though. Just wanted to see like if that kind of swayed the opinion to kind of justify Game Pass throughout the rest of the year.
To me, it does. I'm a grazer. I will play lots of different types of games, having third party stuff drop in there, whether it's double, triple, or double A, triple A, or indie. It'll always sway me. I just don't know that it sways enough people to sustain the model. And that's not my problem, by the way. My problem is how to play all the games I have in front of me. Yeah. That's a problem for them to figure out. But as a content creator who's watching people struggle to figure out what console they want to get, what service they want to subscribe to, what game they want to play, I don't see enough people talking about the value proposition that is Game Pass.
Yeah. It very well could just be my my kind of silver lining outlook on this, because I don't disagree with you, Colt, that they definitely do tend to clump up a lot of their releases, and that does kind of leave people kind of astray towards towards like the beginning or the middle half of the year. I just tried to justify as far as like why I currently stick in Game Pass for like long periods of time and see if like that maybe I'm just the minority here or not.
I mean it's now like basically almost $20 a month in North America. And I've been subscribing every month since spring of 2018. I think it was when it first started, when Sea of Thieves and State of Decay. Yeah, I mean I've never left it, but I also kind of I've been staying with Game Pass because I cover the content and I like to try out different games whenever I want. So I've just put a lot of money into it. I put in, what has it been, 6 years? Somebody do the math. Like if it's $220 for 6 years, that's a lot of money, but I'm sure I saved a ton. It's like, what was that? $1,500. I've saved a lot of money from big games I didn't buy or smaller games that I didn't buy. But I also buy a crap ton of games. There's a lot of people who say that Xbox fans don't buy their games because of Game Pass. A lot of times I'll see people say, hey, I'll say, hey, you guys going to play this game? And they'll say, I'll just wait till it comes to Game Pass. And I'm like, oh, gosh. Sometimes you got to, I buy like $300, $400 worth of games every year. Plus I pay for Game Pass. But Same. We're hardcore. We love, like, if you're here in this chat, like hit the like button for these guys. If you're here in this chat, you're a hardcore gamer. You love to play games. You love talking about games with your friends. You love to sit and listen to podcasts with the people that feel like they're your buddies. Like, that's what I love about podcasting, because we sit down and watch these shows, and it's like you're sitting in the living room or the family room with your buddies, like Luke and Captain Logun. Like, you guys have become like, I don't know. I have so many podcasts that I listen to where I feel like, hey, they invited me in to talk about gaming. If you're that kind of person, you play a ton of games. And Game Pass has given me so many cool things. One of my favorite games ever. Actually, I think it is one of my favorite games ever, is a game that I thought was stupid. And I've got 500 hours into it, and it's Grounded. I was so mad when that was revealed. Yeah, it's unreal how good that game is. I played it with my kids. Like we do this whole thing. And when that game was showcased, I was so angry that Xbox was doing the passion project and that they couldn't bring out a mature story-driven game, but Grounded is some of the best gaming I've played in a long time. That game's like an 83, 84 on OpenCritic. But I love it to death. And if it wasn't for Game Pass, I would never have gone to buy that to see if it would be something my kids and I would enjoy. And I got us all Game Pass, and we've been playing it ever since like 2020, I think.
That's so cool.
Yeah, crazy.
That's how Sea of Thieves was for me, because I played it at launch and I was like, nah, I don't know. But during the pandemic, myself and Mr. Badbit and my buddy Kev, we jumped into Sea of Thieves, and we got lost in the years of content that had been building up and kind of the cadence that they were hitting there, whether it was Tall Tales, whether it was kind of the mini campaigns, which I forget, Mysteries, maybe it was called. And just seeing all the stuff that was there. I remember during virtual teaching, I was in a professional development because they didn't know how to do virtual yet. So I was sitting in a professional development. No one was doing what they were supposed to. So I had my camera off, and I was trying to beat an Ashland Lord by myself for the first time ever. And I was like messaging people, come help me do this. And suddenly I fell into the world of Sea of Thieves. And like now, like they're on season 13, which anybody that's new into Game Pass or new into the service or jumping into Xbox for the first time, as I think, anecdotally, I'm hearing people are really doing with thanks to the Series S and college football. If they've got a trial or they're checking out Game Pass and they jump into Sea of Thieves, they've got content for years built up. Same with Grounded. Same with another number of other these worlds. How many people are checking out the worst Call of Duty to come out in years, apparently, because its campaign was so bad. I loved it. It was fun.
It is not the worst. Vanguard was the worst. That's straight.
Straight up, I love Modern Warfare 2 and 3. I really do. But how many people are checking those out and enjoying them? It's just cool to see. It's cool to see. And I think a lot of people will discover new things. We have a couple of comments here from the chat that I want to involve a little bit here. This one comes from Jam Pack Sam, who says, I shape my gaming habits around Game Pass, so it's always justified for me. But the question is, how many players play games like that versus traditional purchases or sales? It's a fair question, but their tentpole titles like Call of Duty are now under their umbrella, will drive sales. The marketing can be linked to Xbox. Who knows if they do an Xbox Game Pass perk or not? I mean, they're getting perks for First Descendant and a few other bigger titles lately. And then they've got content coming like college football, people picking up the S for that one. I think a lot more people are about to discover this ecosystem. It's just a matter of where, why, and how they discover it. What do you guys think about his question here?
I do 100%. In fact, I even want to toss it out to you guys to kind of like build off of Sam's question, especially for Colt. Do you think that more people who would traditionally purchase games and go for that kind of like, typical purchase, do you think that things like the Samsung app or the Fire Stick having the Xbox Cloud streaming like logo on it with a controller will start to grow Game Pass in a way that people will just have a subscription on their TV, just like they do like Disney Plus and Netflix? And this will just be like one of those reoccurring payments that they make every month without really thinking about it because it's just so accessible.
That's a weird one when you bring up the Fire Stick and Xbox on other devices, because when I talked about the hardcore people like us that are on podcasts and in chats, the people, I think it's such a far stretch for someone to say, to be on their Amazon Fire Stick or be on Amazon Prime and see an ad and say, hey, you can buy an Amazon Fire Stick and a controller and you can play 400 games or whatever. I don't know if a non-gaming person's like, ooh, I should do that. But maybe their kids like, mom or dad, you won't buy me a console, but this thing's like $80. And they're like, okay. But how many customers are like that? And Xbox is throwing out this wide net to bring everybody in. I think the one thing that really drives people into the ecosystem, it's not being on a Samsung TV or an Amazon Fire Stick or on all of the Xbox the gaming handhelds. What is going to drive customers in is the big games. And now that they finally have Call of Duty, they've got Diablo, and putting World of Warcraft on console would be a huge thing that they need to do, because Xbox now finally has all these games that belong to them that will belong into Game Pass day and date. So that's what's going to drive people into Game Pass and get people in there, because when you ask how many people subscribe to Game Pass, like what's the proportion, we don't know. But on the Xbox console proportion, I think it's like 25%. It's like a quarter of the people. They've got like some 30 million subscribers that are on PC. Most of them are on console. You know, you probably got, I don't know, I would say 50 million active users that are actively daily or often logging onto an Xbox console. This is a number I'm just banking up that's probably pretty close, right? So you've got so many people on PC. Like maybe it's half. I don't know. But Xbox, it's just simple. It's simple. Really great games all the time. That's how you grow Game Pass, because Xbox always does what I call the song and dance. You know, they get the cane and they do the whole dance like Looney Tunes character. And they're like, hey, look at this. We have this controller with the butt cheeks. Hey, look at this. We're doing a partnership with a body wash. It's like, no. You just need constantly for people to say, look at all these games Xbox has, and that will win over everything. That's the only way to do it. And they haven't had games for a decade.
You're exactly right. Their social media is nearly unrivaled in this space. And it's so good, but the butt cheeks controllers, that's good for what, a flash in the pan. It's funny, it's chuckles, but that doesn't
sell it to everyone.
Yeah,
just sell it to everyone.
Exactly. It's very strange to watch Xbox kind of try to figure out something that to us is so obvious. Just get the games out there. Just get the games out there and show people the value that they have. I don't know. It's odd. I mean, they give a lot of perks to their Game Pass members, particularly Game Pass Ultimate. Like Valorant just arrived in open beta to consoles, and it's got Game Pass benefits. That's awesome. How many people know about the benefits? How many people know what they're getting if they've got Game Pass, or they know they get perks in different games? I just don't think they are aware. It's like their very now nerfed reward system. It's there. It's a good thing, but they don't tell people about that stuff. And it was a week or so ago. I think Keith Mitchell was on the show with us, but we were talking about the marketing in Asia, Europe, and the Middle East being so diminished, and they have to fight and scrap for funds and whatnot. That's not a story I want to hear ever from an Xbox like employee say that we struggle to get funding for marketing. No, like why invest and buy Activision Blizzard and have these great cloud console elements and all this stuff and not tell people about it? It just worries me, even though, again, that's not my job. My job is to play and enjoy, but still it bothers me.
If Europe is like a lost cause for Xbox consoles and Xbox purchases, the answer is not completely pull out and stop funding that market. The answer is let's work harder. Because they say they're scrappy in Europe. It's like, no, they need to be pushing hard on Microsoft, saying the only way for you to grow in this market is to actually market your stuff and have the Xbox stuff everywhere. I went to London like last month, and I saw this PlayStation stuff everywhere, and I'm like, oh yeah, Xbox doesn't do anything. And that was in London. That wasn't even in the EU. So I don't know.
Can't lament lack of sales and growth if you don't let people know about your product.
Yeah.
It's odd and it's strange. A couple people in chat dropping in some thoughts here. Rob Frawley II says, if Xbox doesn't require the most expensive Game Pass tier for the worst experience streaming, I think they could grow their audience significantly, but it needs to be at a reduced cost, not ultimate. Yeah, it is odd because streaming is the diminished version versus kind of playing local. I will say the streaming is far better than it's ever been. It's still got work to be. Logan's he's ready. He's got the finger ready. What's up?
I would argue the large majority of casual gamers are still playing on 1080p TVs. So diminished, like kind of experience probably doesn't impact them because not everyone's walking around with an LG C1 from 2020 or 2021.
Hey, don't judge my amazing TV. I really like it.
Yeah,
really like
it. I see you with your privilege over there, sitting in your 4K 120.
That's right. Like and subscribe, everybody. Thank you.
Get those sub numbers up.
Yeah. It's a recession, and we're all struggling.
The boy's got to get his updated TV. But I would argue that, you know, like Game Pass and streaming being the worst version of gaming from our perspective, yeah, but accessing games for a low cost, regardless of the bit rates that you're getting, depending on, you know, the internet that you have. If you can stream it, there's a good chance it'll probably be a decent enough experience. And I'm sure that, again, from our perspective, not the best, but still better than having to buy like a $70 game you're not sure about.
Rob, following up here, Logan, he says he's talking more about the latency, not so much the resolution. And that matters a lot in games like Halo, COD, that kind of stuff. And I'm inclined to agree. I was able to comfortably play Lords of the Fallen, but I would not have wanted to play like Warzone with you guys, even though I enjoy Warzone mobile. But that's
I was going to say, like, weren't you playing mobile Warzone?
Yeah. Yes, but I think Warzone proper, I don't know that I would be able to do right by you guys just the way that it's designed. But I got to
bring that MMR down anyway, man. Like,
okay, quick side note here. Colt, I don't know if I'm about to bore you or thrill you here, but do you remember, like, so in the 360 days, like you could go in and wreck a whole lobby in COD, or you'd get destroyed because they didn't do like there are multiplayer ratings or MMRs. Activision and Modern Warfare did an experiment recently in recent weeks where they reduced how much your MMR matters. So you would be in lobbies with people that are way better or way worse than you. And they saw that retention went down, that those ratings are actually a good thing, that only a very small number of people, the elite of the elite, enjoyed and played more, but everybody else reduced how much time they were playing in. I thought that was really interesting data to see, because I'm the guy that, like, I don't like being super sweaty in games, but to see that MMRs are actually a very good thing for player retention was really cool data for Activision to release. Charlie Intel put that out on socials. I'll put a link in chat. I'll find it when one of you guys talks. But I thought that was a really neat thing, because I was the one that was always like, oh, our MMRs aren't good. No, they're actually very good, and I just did not understand it. So seeing data is helpful, is my point. Somebody jump in.
I agree. MMRs are very important. I think it's the only way to really grow, because you're actually being put against people that are of your skill level. And the only way to really know whether or not you are improving is because you are watching. The one thing that I wish Call of Duty had better was access to replays, so you could kind of see like where you went wrong and stuff like that. And you can do that with like clips and things, but it's hard to do in the middle of a match. But if I could go back to Rob Prawley's question, sure, or retort, I don't disagree about the latency. I'm trying to think of the lowest common denominator of people that were trying to get into Game Pass, and it is still accessible. Like, for example, I was at Festa Legends, really bad Wi-Fi, was still able to jump in and play Sea of Thieves on my Logitech G Cloud, which is about. And even though it was, it's great. Love that little guy. Streaming's not the best, but you can, if you have a couple other people like on your team for Call of Duty who are crack shots, you know, they can carry to a degree. You can be enough of a support, especially on games like Sea of Thieves or Call of Duty, or, you know, like Gears of War, Halo, stuff like that, that it can still be a worthwhile experience. So you may need friends to kind of like help buff you up a little bit, if you will, but I think it's still a good enough experience now, and it's only going to get better as time goes on. So it's tough to feel like it's the worst experience, because it's still better than no experience in my mind.
I think they got to get a cloud tier in, but it's got to be below $10. And inflation, it's not the point. You've got to get a sub $10 tier if that's what you want to grow it, because it doesn't matter how much value to dollar you're getting with Game Pass Ultimate. $20 feels high. It just feels high. I'm saving plenty of money. I mean, I've how many times listed the games that I play on Game Pass, but $20 just feels high. You bump any higher than that, you're running into some big issues with your service. So I think if you can get a sub $10 tier in there anywhere, I think you got a good shot at growing the service somehow.
Do you think Core should have cloud access to those games?
Yeah, I think everything should, because that's where we are now. And your library should be playable there also. And Colt, I've heard scuttlebutt that's coming very soon. Have you heard the same?
Yeah, yes, they can bring all of your games to cloud. They just have to get around the legality or the licensing nonsense. I'm going to call it licensing nonsense because you're literally playing on an Xbox Series X when you're on cloud. It's just over the internet. And I think the Xbox should be able to easily get over the hump of what they consider a licensing agreement, because basically the licensing agreement says when you play Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you're only allowed, when you bought it on Xbox, you're only allowed to play it on an Xbox console. But then they come out with the Xbox Series X after the Xbox One, and you can still play it on there because they're like, oh, it's a new console, but it's still, like the compatibility thing works. So why in the world can't you play it on the cloud? I think they should be easily say legally you're playing on a internet connected Series X. It's still an Xbox game. You're playing the Xbox version of it. So yes, all of your games should come over to cloud. And I'm going to piggyback off of what Luke said, that Xbox should offer nearly all of their services within Game Pass, and they shouldn't be breaking everything apart in tiers. I know they like to offer choice and value, but some of the stuff being segmented off, like, we want you to play your games wherever you want. You should, if you buy a game, you should be able to play it on the cloud. You should be able to play it on a handheld. You should be able to play it on PC, or you should be able to play it on Xbox or a TV or a Fire Stick. And then they've compartmentalized that to where people are like, I'm going to get into Game Pass in the Xbox ecosystem because I get access to all of this. And they're like, no, only if you pay for Ultimate. And I mean, that price gives you so much, but Xbox's message is you could play everywhere, but only if you pay the highest tier. Then that bothers me as a consumer. And I would definitely go against that grain for other people who are spending a lot of money on games like we do.
It's so strange to watch. I felt like there was a stumble on Sony's side when they announced the tiers for PlayStation Plus, and then Xbox see that stumble and then make a similar faux pas. Like that chart, I needed Clobriel's chart to understand the tiers properly, and that's a concern for me, particularly when like I'm so invested in the Game Pass ecosystem that I'm looking forward to their games coming out. I need it to be subsidized by those third-party things. And when you make it hard for more people to get in, it's unlikely that the funding for that still exists. Yeah. Logan, I see you start a comment. Did you want to spotlight?
Yeah. So Outer Haven.
That's Keith Mitchell. He was on the show last week, just to make sure I get the names right. That's him.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm still behind on my podcast, so apologies there. I want to go back. They said that they would basically be running into the same issue that NVIDIA did when they started pulling games on or putting games on GeForce Now, which I remember a lot of Blizzard titles went onto GeForce Now at the start and then eventually got pulled. And not every publisher wants this or wants a different contract for doing this. And I 100% agree with that sentiment. It really does come down to like, where do the licensing deals start and end with every publisher? And is Xbox going to run into the same issue that NVIDIA GeForce ran into, where certain publishers are going to decide that they want to revoke access to that content because maybe they need to push digital sales a little bit more, and having access to their content via cloud from one purchase is kind of, because I mean, how many of you guys are still sharing access to your streaming apps and stuff? Like who's show of hands here. We're not actually, never mind. I don't want to do that because I don't need to get in trouble. Look, we're all still sharing a little bit more than we should have. It's not like LimeWire, Napster sharing, but it's still kind of sharing, right? So I think that their ability to pull like cloud access and stuff like that is going to be something where we're, and it always kind of goes, I always come back to the same old soapbox, but I still think that we need to have stronger legislation for consumer digital goods for us to be able to. Here
you go. Colt, strap in. He's about to go legislation.
I just told you it was going to be the same soapbox. This is where I think, like, to Colt's point, if we have digital access to these games, we should have access to play them via all mediums, whether it's streaming, whether it's digital or physical, handheld. We should be able to have control over where we play that content. The hardware is just the hardware. A burrito is still a burrito with the contents in it. The contents make up the burrito. The tortilla is just the delivery device for the stuff we're shoving in our face. So why can't that be the same thing for games? I'm making a strong point here. That's
I
what
like it. I like it. Yeah.
I died a little inside. Oh, you know what we should do? Just Colt, we need to know your sincere thoughts on Little Caesars pizza. I know this is just a full derail here, but
yeah, no, this is perfect.
Do you like or dislike it? Because I have thoughts, but I don't want to bias you here.
My very first job was at Little Caesars.
No,
okay. There's a bias here.
Now, we don't get Little Caesars ever, I don't think. So I don't know how much it's changed, but
thank you.
But 30 years ago, it was the best pizza I'd ever had. And we got it often. My family would pick it up on a Friday. We got it back in the day when it came on a cardboard flat in a white paper bag, and it was pizza. So you'd order 2 pizzas and they'd come in the paper envelope thing. It was magical. And they'd staple it shut with the ticket on it, and you'd slide that out of the bag, and there was 2 pizzas there, and we used to get the pan ones. They're amazing. I loved it.
Back in the day, yes, Little Caesars was goat back in the day, but nowadays, like, no. And so it's been an ongoing thing in XEP's pantheon of whether or not we like Little Caesars or not, because I'm fully anti, but you can see our channel members, one of the things they get is the pizza guy.
Well, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've had Little Caesars a couple times in the past decade, but we get Domino's, which is dirt cheap. But I'll bet if you order a pan pizza from Little Caesars, you can't sit here and complain. I bet you it's pretty good. Because you know the old saying that even bad pizza is still good pizza, I guess. But yeah, I don't know how bad Little
even
Caesars
the worst streaming experience is still streaming games. All right.
Oh no.
All right.
Well, I mean, NVIDIA GeForce knows how to do it. And you know, my friend Fonz from Fonz Gaming and Games Talk Live, he was using GeForce for like a month, and he couldn't come up with a single complaint. It was amazing. You're playing on a 4080 PC in the cloud. It looks incredible. And then you get on Xbox and you're playing a Series X, but they split the power out into like a Series S module. And so you're getting the Series S experience at 1080p with a little bit of latency and all that stuff. Yeah.
I'm curious because I'm trying to think of like the form factors for a majority of the streaming devices. Do any of you guys have streaming devices that would take advantage of a 4080 like resolution or frame rate? Like, because in my mind, all the things that I stream on are generally going to be, well, I guess like my phone would technically be like whatever Retina is considered, but
your phone has a resolution. Like I have the Note 20 and it's 1440p OLED.
Okay. So they're good devices for that kind of thing then.
Well, I mean, but my phone it's a 7-inch screen or something, or maybe
that's a Switch.
It is. I mean, it's the same size as. Hang on a second. I might knock something down.
Oh, here we go. You're gonna knock over the vault, boys. Luke.
Yeah.
Luke, you're getting knocked off the shelf.
Like this is the funny. This thing's dusty. I haven't used it for a month or so. Yeah. Look at the screen. I don't know if that does it, but you get an idea. Like it feels like a big screen, but when you actually turn it on, it's basically a Note 22 in there. So
that's
I don't know.
Okay.
My problem, I have the ROG Ally over here. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can see the white it's sitting right there. That's about the same size screen, like a 9-inch screen. And when I'm playing some games I'm like, I can't read the UI. My eyes are okay, but I'm like, it's just all the UI is so small. So, but you can get GeForce for $18 a month and you can play on your 4K OLED like you have a killer PC. But I just don't stream outside the house that much. If I'm not in this room, I've got something else I'm doing that's not going to be gaming.
I first of all, blasphemy, but also I get it.
We got kids and stuff, and we're out doing stuff, and I'm not gonna be playing Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Like,
see, that's the trouble right there. You have to get rid of the kids.
Yeah, well, that could be arranged.
I almost rarely start a game on streaming, but if I'm familiar with its UI and I don't need to read everything to Colt's point, then I'll jump in on it often, with the exception of Lords of the Fallen. I was at my in-laws. That's how I ended up doing that. But I wouldn't play a text-heavy game mobile very often, at least not on I do a Pixel 8 Pro and attach a controller. If I had a ROG Ally or whatnot, maybe I'd be inclined to change that. Logan,
so much
you got
different.
some love in chat, by the way. So MBL 666 behind. He's behind, but he wanted to give a shout out to Festa Legends.
Hey.
So there you go. But yeah, text heavy on a small screen. I'm getting older. That just doesn't click for me, right? It's difficult, but so it goes. A lot of good stuff happening in chat. Tech side people are having kind of a ball in there, which is fun to watch for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, do you really think that WoW is actually coming to console?
I think they would have done it by now, but there is a controller support mod that works really, really well, according to Jez Corden. I don't know. People are like, throw it on Game Pass, but it would be more likely that Xbox would just bring it to console and give themselves another subscription. Like you have to subscribe to WoW, but now it's on console and PC. I think it's something I think they really need to do because the game isn't slowing down. And I think Xbox should be pushing Blizzard really hard. Like, what can we do? Who can we bring over to get this on console? But honestly, I think Xbox's reactive method of working in the console space is such a major problem for them, where they should be actively working to say, what can we do to bring more people in and make more money? Instead, they're so reactive and like, oh, we don't have this. So it would be nice if WoW was on console, instead of saying, what can we do to get WoW on console and bring in more revenue and more people and get more people and sell more consoles? I don't know. That kind of drives me crazy. I think they should be working really hard, bending over backwards to bring more people in.
We toyed with the idea of the WoW subscription should become Xbox Game Pass Ultimate because they were equivalent in price at one point. We toyed with that. And the benefit being, if you can get that WoW community into the ecosystem of Game Pass, they might spread their wings and spend money elsewhere. That was something we toyed with as an idea. And I don't know if that's something you could push the devs in the direction of. I know they're unionizing, and that's a really big deal. But like mixing or merging those subscriptions might be beneficial. It might also be detrimental because you might be cutting off a revenue stream. I don't know the answer to that. But we did toy with that idea, Colt. Does that ring any alarm bells or wind bells for you in your mind?
No, I mean, it's kind of what I expect. That's what I'm expecting at this point.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
I was actually thinking, because we got the new expansion coming up next month. I was actually thinking it would be kind of cool to see if they could actually put that expansion into Game Pass with like the baseline game, just due to the nature of, like, you're still going to have to subscribe, but if you're already on like Game Pass PC, then you don't have to worry about it. Just like Call of Duty right now. Like Call of Duty, I've had to purchase through BattleNet for years at this point. And for the longest time, it's like, well, I don't really want to buy it there because my PC wasn't strong enough. But now that it is, it's like, heck yeah, I'll go ahead and install it. I would jump back into WoW if they're like, hey, The War Within's coming to Game Pass and you can play it just with everyone else without actually having to buy it. If you subscribe to Game Pass, I'd be like, well, you just locked in Game Pass for me for a long few years now until their next expansion.
They Jam-Pack Sam in chat saying the top priority should be not breaking money machines that have been printing for 20 years. Yeah, the quest to make the most money often gets in the way of the quest to make some money. And he makes a good point. And it's hard to argue that. Hard to argue. I alluded to it, the unionization for wall-to-wall developers, for WoW developers forming the first wall-to-wall union at Blizzard Entertainment. I tend to not pay too much attention to this stuff, but I do think it's important that the games industry kind of defend itself against some of the pressures that come from cutbacks and executives making tons of money. Meanwhile, the QA struggling to get dinner. I see this stuff tends to be as a good thing, but I'm just not as educated as I perhaps should be to comment on it. Did you guys see this info at all coming out? Any strong feelings there, Logan?
Yeah, no, I love this because having
legislation.
Well, yeah, it makes sure that people have, like, I don't know about you guys, but I live in California. It's a little expensive out here. It's actually a lot expensive out here. And given the nature of remote working and some of the access to the tools that we have, there are a lot of people who could do their jobs remotely, but there was that mandate not too long ago that all Blizzard employees had to return to the office in Irvine, where most of the lower tier devs that are part of like QA or just testing, things like that, a lot of even just animators, even the actual backbone of like characters moving around in the game, they're all having to like bunk up in houses because it is just so expensive to live down there.
Really?
Yeah. It's not uncommon for folks on different teams to get a house together and all just share different rooms, because a lot of the employees that are not like in the team lead position don't make enough to survive down there. And you think like, this is Activision Blizzard, guys. Like, can we not make sure, like, most of them generally pretty good because they have a wife or a husband or a partner who is like helping with the income, and they can kind of get their own house and their own place and start a family or whatever they want to do. Have 18 dogs. I don't care. But there's a lot of them that are just getting into the games industry off of college because they have a really good like plan for that, and they still can't make it without jumping into houses with other devs. And seeing like things like this wall-to-wall unionization will hopefully start to spread the wealth a little bit better across the teams. Will also kind of give them the opportunity to fight against mandates to start working back at the office, so that folks that can do their job remotely have that as a possibility. Because I think it's time for us to stop thinking about studios needing to have every single employee at the actual office. Certain teams, yes. Certain areas, yes, definitely. It's more beneficial to grab everyone, throw them in a conference room, and kind of knock something out real quick because it's easier than doing a conference call. But there's definitely a lot that goes into this, and just ensuring that a lot of the employees that don't necessarily have the power to be able to like speak up about certain things, that's where unions work. And hopefully the company is a company that you don't need a union, because everyone's voice actually does matter. But that is kind of their mantra with this union, is that every voice matters. And that was like one of the core values around the wolf statue at Blizzard HQ. And that they have to do this is kind of sad, but also very kind of, what's the word, galvanizing to know that they're actually able to do this. So I'm glad. But yeah, that was my piece on it. I don't know, Colt, if you had any thoughts.
I'm in a union, so it's kind of hard for me to be excited on a unionization for these studios, but I know they need it. Like, my union doesn't really work for me. It hasn't been like, I just pay a lot of money to them and they barely get us anything. But I think it's completely different for what the game developers are like. This is what they want. And to see people get mass layoffs and see studios close down because they can't manage their budget of what games cost. So I think since they're really happy about the union, there's apparently some really good that's supposed to come of that. And it's going to save a lot of problems, because the games industry is in major turmoil. So when they're like, we're going to unionize, I'm like, awesome. Because right now there's a major strike going on in SAG-AFTRA for the Voice Actors Guild because of AI. And now they're talking about even Grand Theft Auto 6 is probably going to see a month's delay or maybe push into the next year because they're going to be on another strike. And it gets into the politics of what makes games and what makes things that we love. But I just want the developers to have the best experience, because I need that talent. I need those people doing what they do, the magic that they do that makes our hobby so incredible. And if that means that they get protected, then hook them up, because it's really bad right now. Ever since COVID was over, really bad.
I think so many times we see studios tout the legend, like we'll see Rocksteady point to their legacy, we'll see Blizzard point to their legacy, we'll see Bethesda point to their legacy, and those legacies are built from longtime employees working on their craft, improving their craft over time. And when studios gear up and then lay off, you lose a lot of talent that way, and a lot of lives are devastated. And so any protection that goes into place that keeps hardworking people that are working to better themselves, their craft, and feed their families all simultaneously, I think is very positive. It's strange because I miss the position of privilege of being a kid and not knowing about this stuff and not having to worry about this stuff. It's kind of like politics. When I don't know what's going on and I'm living my life happily, that's great. But when I'm informed, it makes me very sad to know that, like Logan was saying, like people are having to bunk just to live their lives and work a job. And like, that makes me very sad to see. And so anything that helps people do that, I'm all for. I do find it interesting, and that's the only word I can use because I don't know enough about it beyond it. Xbox seems to be unilaterally recognizing and approving and confirming these, and like they're cool with it. They're cool with it. We saw it during the acquisition that they were like, yep, nodding and acknowledging the unionization of different studios and different teams within studios. That to me I would outside looking in, that feels like it's healthy for workplace culture.
Yes and no.
It's a terrible idea. I'm anti that.
Good.
Whatever. I agree with whatever Logan's about to say.
For once, for once you actually see my perspective on things. I think in a perfect world, you would have a company that doesn't need to have a union, right? Like you would not necessarily, like, they take care of their employees. Their 401k is matched 1-to-1, if not 1.5. It's like everything's kosher. Everything's perfect. It's when you start seeing groups of people at companies being like, our needs are not being met and our voices are not being heard. We want to have, better pay. We want to have better PTO. We want to have, better health benefits, things like that. That's when you start to hear like the word union get thrown around. And much to Colt's point, not every union actually does what the union's intent was at the start of the union. So then you start getting people coming into this. They have to join the union if it is a full union. They don't get a choice. You either work for the company and you're in the union, or you don't get to work for the company. And you start paying these dues. And the battles were won long ago, but it may not reflect what is currently now expected for a new position. So you run into that situation where you're now paying someone dues, but not getting any benefit out of it. And it's like, now you're having to fight a different boss compared to the company to try and get like what you want out of this. If you're not feeling like you're getting what you want out of your union, you now have to go to the union boss and make a bid to try and figure out like what you want. And then it has to go to vote. And if no one votes on it, then your voice doesn't get heard. And so it's tricky. It's very, very tricky when it comes to union, because you're essentially replacing one boss with another boss when it comes to what you want from your company. Colt, am I expressing that accurately enough based on my experience?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's just kind of it's way beyond my connection to gaming, and I just look at it like I just want the employees to feel secure. And like when you lose a job at a studio, like when they lay off people at Tango, or they close Tango and they lay off all these people at Arcane Austin, like where do you go? Like you have all these people with a decade of experience, or all these years of experience creating AAA or creating hit games, and you're like, well, I'll just go work in another studio. But it's like, yeah, but every studio is cutting back and shutting down or having problems. So I feel so bad for these devs who are in the middle of an industry that can hardly even contain them. So, yeah.
I was a little heartbroken when I saw the Tales of Kenzera team suffering a bit a few weeks ago when Abu Bakar shared that like they had to have cutbacks because the game didn't sell as well as it should. Like that stinks. That's a great game. I think it got hurt by the amazing Prince of Persia game because I think they kind of ate each other's lunch a bit. But yeah, you want hardworking people that are making games for us to rock. Guys, I real quick want to note that Overwatch 2 is considering bringing back its old version 6v6 to kind of reinvigorate its fan base. And I thought that was interesting to see an article on that, given that the Marvel Rivals beta is out now. It's a closed beta at the moment, but codes have been pretty freely flowing. I should have a second wave of codes to give out to people sometime soon. And the Concord beta kind of wrapped up and disappointed. And that hero shooter genre seems to really be at a make or break moment at the moment. And if Marvel can't do it, I don't know what will. Hey, it's Timmy. Good to see you in chat, buddy. Really just curious to know if you guys have been following the hero shooter genre in any capacity. I think Concord is dead on arrival, and I hope that doesn't sound too fanboy-y because I know we're an Xbox podcast. I don't wish that on them. It just doesn't look like it's doing what it should. I hate it for that team. I'm playing.
Hey, I like the beta. I had fun with it, but I just scratched my head like, how are they charging $40? This feels like a game that is supposed to be free.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds weird when I say that, but I played it and I was enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just repeat myself again. But you just have to play it to understand, like, they're charging for this. Like, these games, you don't charge for these games. And I know that they're going to offer, we find out after the beta closed that they're going to offer all this content for the people that buy the game.
Mm-hmm.
That when you buy it, they're going to continually get new characters included with their purchase. But right now, Marvel Rivals had 22 times more people in one day. They had 22 times more people than the peak of Concord's beta on Steam alone. So also Xbox has a semi-exclusive, or I think it's exclusive. It's not coming to PlayStation, called Fragpunk, which looks kind of goofy and kind of cool. And the previews from content creators who are in the closed beta, they're really pretty happy with Fragpunk. And then people are really happy about Marvel Rivals. But the overall consensus of Concord is it's not that great. And it's like a 2.5 out of 5 stars on PlayStation 5. And I think it's a big trouble. And I don't think they're going to pivot and throw it into PS Plus, because the Firewalk Studio came out and made that statement. Hey, all the content when you buy the game is going to continually come to you for purchasing the game. This is our monetization plan. And I think they're probably going to just hold on and hope that it works out for the best. I think they need to pump the brakes and put it into PS Plus or make it free to play and delay it 6 months so they can make a monetization plan. But that's a big overtaking. And
it kind of reminded me of Destruction All Stars in a way of like, so you're pivoting, you're trying to do this. It bums me out because the game's okay, the game's fine, but I was playing Marvel Rivals, having a blast with it as a superhero fan, but I feel like I've played it. I played Paladins, I played Overwatch. I feel like I've played this, and I just don't know who the new market is. And to your point, Colt, like 22 times is a lot of people. Do
you think that's IP based though? Like, because seriously, Concord, good shooter, but there's no like history or legacy, and it's not coming out the gate like Overwatch did with beautiful cinematics and stuff that we're seeing. Like, they're good cinematics, but
they're cool.
There's not like the buy-in the way that Overwatch really kind of sold us on with the characters and the kind of Pixar story looking feel to it. So like Marvel Rivals has that IP kind of behind it, and I kind of wonder if maybe that's why a lot of people 100%. Were kind of playing on that.
No, 100%. That's why. Like, if I can play a game that lets me feel like Iron Man, I'm gonna play it. If I can play a game that lets me feel like Spider-Man, I'm gonna play it. And I think that IP drives the interest. The gameplay keeps the gamer. So I think that's the difference. Concord has no IP relevancy, and it's not bringing people in. So regardless of its gameplay, it's not getting enough people in to get a sample size to monetize later. Whereas when it comes I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's got the Guardians of the Galaxy wannabe thing going, but
yeah, like we have this at
Guardians of
home.
the Galaxy was I didn't know what Guardians of the Galaxy was when I saw the first trailer and in the movie theater for the movie. And my buddy next to me was like, "Oh, it's a really cool comic." I'm like, "I've never heard of it," but
I'd never heard of it either.
Instantly likable. I'd never heard of it because excuse me, I wasn't into comics ever, not even now. But it was instantly likable when I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, and when I watched the movie, it was instantly likable. The Concord thing, the cinematics were cool. The characters were the most unfunny, uninteresting, just tepid, watered down oatmeal delivery. Like one of your characters is like, when you jump into the match, she goes, "Can we get this over with? I left the oven on purpose." Yeah. I'm like, I'm not funny, but can hire somebody who is.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And I think that time is demanded. Our time is demanded of too often by too many great experiences to take your time with poor ones. Like you were talking about that at the top of the show. I didn't say that very eloquently, but I think my point remains. Like a high tier, a high bar is expected, and it's just not quite there for everything. And Marvel Rivals, like I had a blast with it. It's closed beta. We'll see what happens, but it still needs some improvements here and there. And so
I think it looks good. I didn't get to play it though.
It's fun. It's fun, but you have to like hero shooters. Have you played Paladins or Overwatch? You've played.
I love Paladins. I'm a Paladins fan.
It feels.
I love Paladins more than Overwatch.
Me too, Colt. That's right, Colt. We're brethren.
I think it's like, I don't know. There's just I played a bunch of Overwatch, like hours and hours and hours, and then someone's like, "Paladins is better and it's free," and I was like, it is better. I don't know what it is, and it's so funny. The players in Paladins like play the objective. That's what I noticed immediately was that everyone's trying to kill everybody, and then I play Paladins and everyone's like sticking to the cart and following it and taking the I don't know. It's a great game.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah, but can you be Optimus Prime? All right, that's what I want to know.
I want Optimus Prime. Yeah, that's a game changer.
I got a chuckle this past week when I saw that I'm pivoting on the idea of Optimus Prime and like guest characters.
Here we go.
In Fortnite right now, you can play as Jack Sparrow, you can play as Wolverine, you can play as Deadpool. Modern Warfare 3 just launched into Game Pass. So did Valorant. In Modern Warfare 3, you can play as WWE characters in this new system. The cross-pollination is strong, and in Concord, there's no character IP relevancy, and every other big game is doing character IP relevancy.
Okay. We're talking about like established games that have been out for a while. This is like a fresh IP. They have to sell you on, like, nobody cares about Reinhardt anymore, but everyone cares about Optimus Prime. So we've been there. We've seen Reinhardt's story in Overwatch and stuff, but looking at Concord,
we're agreeing. Like the new IP generates interest. Or sorry, the established IP generates interest. Pardon me. Like people that know Optimus Prime, they're gonna get interested in Overwatch.
But they're not gonna sell a brand new IP with like existing IP skins right out of the gate. Like they got to get up to that. Like you have to like the game and the characters in the game. Yeah, but then you just make a licensed game, Luke. Then you just make Marvel Rivals. That's how that works.
No. The integration is what makes. I think half of what makes Fortnite so popular is the pop culture integration that is constantly flowing in and out of the game. My kid bought Ariana Grande as a character. The Fallout power armor went into Fortnite, and I've been an advocate that Halo should make a battle royale game and use all of their IPs into the game. Like you should have a Marcus Phoenix skin. Okay.
I'm on Team Colt.
But
you should have a Marcus Phoenix. You should be able to play Battle Royale Halo and come in as Marcus Phoenix the way that Coalition approved him to look in Halo Battle Royale. Like not because they've done cross-pollination where you had Halo armor in Gears 5 multiplayer. I think you need Marcus Phoenix, Kate Diaz, or whatever drops in, and that's your skin character for Halo Battle Royale. And I think you could do all these other characters. And then I thought, and people hate this, so I say this, Luke, but I'm like, why not bring in other stuff? Like, hey, you want to do a deal with Marvel and start bringing some Marvel characters into the Halo game? Halo fans get so mad when I say that because they're like, no, and I'm going to make fun of them for a minute, but they're like, no, I want to play a game where you only are a Spartan versus a Spartan. And that's all you do in Halo. I'm like, why can't you be an elite? Why can't you be a brute in multiplayer? Like, why aren't they doing this? They don't even, Halo doesn't even do that. I feel like, why can't you? I would love to, like, okay, I unlocked the elite, or I unlocked this armor set, so I have this for the elite character, and you're running around as elite. They're the same height, they're the same hitbox as a Spartan. And in Fortnite, I'm going on a rant here. Fortnite, you have like you can be Optimus Prime, and he's huge, but Fortnite builds it so the hitboxes are the same size, so there's no, everything's balanced. Oh my gosh, I would have so much fun with that.
Okay, but there's a difference between like a blank slate that is Fortnite with just regular Fortnite character. Like, nobody's like looking at Fortnite and thinking, oh, I can't wait for their next original character. Like maybe the diehards are, but everyone's just like, okay, well, what's the next IP that they're going to bring into it? It's Ready Player One. We're talking about like a Concord, which is trying to establish its own story, its own world, its own characters, and engender some love for that world. And you guys are talking about wanting to throw in skins that are like IP established stuff that would completely like derail and detract from what their purpose is, like their weekly story content that they're going to be coming out with. For something like Overwatch, there is no more story for that game. Like they just killed that. So what do they have left? IP, skins, things that are going to be thrown in the store because everyone knows what's going on. And the fact that they're moving, we didn't even touch upon the whole 6v6 versus 5v5 thing. The 6v6 thing is actually going to bring back something that is going to really establish the fact that everyone hates the fact that whoever's playing tank typically sucks. And that they need to bring back 2 tanks. And that is just a fact. It is just, if you're a bad tank in Overwatch, you're not winning your match. So the fact that they're going back to 6v6, really good idea. Really, really smart idea on that one. But they're at the point now where they're like, okay, we've got mythic skins, we've got crossover IP that are doing really well. That's their cash cow because they can't sell copies of the game anymore because they've just moved to the expected multiplayer game has to be free to survive in this market. So I feel like with Concord, they're trying to sell you a game and they're trying to sell you on a world. They're hoping that their world in their gameplay is good enough to justify the $40. It's not even a $60 game. It's not even a $70 game. Like if it was imagine like if this was, they were trying to sell you a imagine if this was Battlefield 2042, a legacy IP from an established publisher, and you're trying to sell a $70 version of that when there's Warzone and Fortnite out there. Like Concord is a small ask for a good game at this point, in my opinion.
Fair. It's fair, but I still think more IP is better. That's just where I'm at. and like,
well, in some cases, yeah.
Who's asking for it? And this isn't even meant to be a dig at Concord, but like, who's asking for that? A hero shooter new world? Not many people.
I just don't want to make it, Luke.
Do they?
Well, I mean, it's not fair to say who's asking for, like, who's asking for this. I mean, we should be getting something, like if it's an improvement on a love genre or something brand new that no one expected, like that's okay. The problem with Concord is the world is spoken. They don't want it. They don't want Concord. Yeah. And then you turn around and you've got Fragpunk, which is doing really well in previews, and Marvel Rivals. Like, who asked? Like, you know how people are like, Marvel's overdone. There's too much Marvel saturation. And then the Marvel Rivals Overwatch ripoff is doing really, really well and exciting a lot of people. So Concord just isn't it. And I don't think they can do anything other than to try to salvage it at this point by coming up with a monetization plan and making it free to play or throwing it to PS Plus. Because when people say it's dead on arrival or it's DOA, I don't think they're just saying that just because they're like, it sucks. Like when people say, oh, Ubisoft games suck as a blanket statement. People say that stuff all the time. No, half of their games suck. The other ones are really good. So
I just started Avatar, by the way. My Discord pushed me to get Avatar. That a lot of them enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I'm really liking it.
I'm glad you're stretching. I'm glad to see you stepping away from just white males and characters. That makes me happy that you're trying blue characters in this time. Call me a liar.
Avatar was really good in first impression.
Avatar's
by the end, I was sick of it. But
is it too? Do you think it ran too long?
Yeah, it expects you to do too many quests to get to the level number that has you do the last missions. Yeah,
gotcha.
But yeah, the first half of it, I was really, really enjoying it. So if you can get properly paced in, I think you should be good. It's a fun game.
After playing Flintlock, which I really enjoyed, because I like a good third-person action game, and Flintlock is that. It's not a Souls-like. There's dodging and parrying if you want it. Like, you don't have to play the game that way, but so it's not really Souls-like. I really enjoy Flintlock, and that third-person action adventure title was really appealing, and I wish we had more of them. But I wanted another like go click the box, do this objective podcast kind of game. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking Avatar will be for part of the time, like when I'm not in a story-based thing. That's my thought process. So
yeah,
you know, but I know I said on socials, Colt, and I'll say it to everybody, Flintlock has its issues, but it reminds me a lot of Darksiders, and I'm a big Darksiders fan. It's a lot of AA goodness. Give Flintlock a shot, guys. Nor the main character, she's really cool. Enki is the god that accompanies her, that little fox. He's got a cool story. Like, I enjoyed the game. It's flawed, so I'm not trying to send anybody there, but it's fun. So similar to a Ubisoft game where you have checkboxes, stuff to do, it's good, but it doesn't do Colt like what you were saying Avatar does. It doesn't overstay its welcome.
Yeah.
So there is that. And
that's how I felt about Banishers. Ghost of New
Is
Eden.
it?
That's how I felt. It was like it was a good AA, flawed, but it's a solid game.
Yeah.
I've got my eye on Unknown 9 Awakening, and I don't know if it's because of which character they're kind of showcasing. I forget her name, but she's from The Witcher, kind of that empowered female protagonist with like godlike powers. Maybe that's why I'm equating the two games. But I got to see a demo of Unknown 9 at Summer Game Fest play days, and I really enjoyed what I saw there. And I'm thinking that it and Flintlock favor each other, so we'll see. Not Siri, Rick Davis. Whoever played, I'm just blanking right now because we're on the show. But whoever played the witch, that not Yennefer. Whoever played Yennefer, she's the main character.
You actually did remember.
Yeah. Unknown 9 is a game I'm looking forward to. I think it's under the radar right now for a lot of people. But yeah, too many games. I see Rust Belt Kid over on Twitch is saying too many games. Yep, too many games. And Colt, wasn't it Fonz that yelled that out?
Yeah, at the showcase. Yeah, he yelled that out in the middle of the too many games.
From Xbox has no games now. It's just too much, and it's a good problem to have. Gents, there's an era that is ending for Xbox with the Xbox 360 store finally shutting down. And I know it's not it's July 29th, 2 days from our time of recording. If you're listening later, it may already be done. But I just thought it would be worthwhile to give a shout out to the Xbox 360. That was a console that was really special to me. I sold plasma when I was in college in order to buy a 360 so I could play Gears of War. I sold plasma. Yeah, strap me up.
I never heard somebody say sold.
Yeah, they bought plasma. That's what I did.
Yeah, I mean, we called it donating plasma, but you really did. They paid you, so you were selling plasma.
They still do. They still do.
They really?
Wow. Yeah, they throw it in your TVs. It's great.
Yeah. Nice. Well done.
Go straight to Samsung.
But that was how I got my 360 in college. Played Gears of War, was my first Xbox Live online. It was my first console online game ever, first voice chat game ever. And Gears of War 1 was just a hugely impactful game in my life. That 360, man, I put my 360 through its paces. I was the guy that I would get the special editions. I had the Reach 360. I had the Elite. I loved the Xbox 360, man, as a console. And so seeing its store kind of shut down, not the back and back games, but the ones that are not, I just want to tip my cap to that amazing console and ask if you guys had any fond memories or thoughts of the 360 that you wanted to share.
Colt, you got something off the bat?
Yeah, I mean the 360 is one of the things that brought me back into gaming. I took like a 10-year sabbatical from gaming when I was going to college and raising a family and all that stuff. And I got back into it because of Grand Theft Auto 4. I wanted to get Grand Theft Auto 4. I wanted to get Rock Band, and I couldn't get that on a compact Presario. So yeah, I got back into console gaming around 2007. So everyone was like all like fully dug in with the PS3 and 360 by then. And my time with like Grand Theft Auto 4 and playing like Star Wars Lego with my kid, and I went pretty crazy, and it's what has kind of brought me to where I am today, where I was gaming so much that I had a couple friends that I worked with that were on 360, and we would play games almost every night. And then they were like 10 years younger than me. They started getting into a relationship and getting their own kids, and then they haven't touched their console since like middle into the console generation 360. I never had a red ring of death. My buddy sold me at work. My buddy sold me his red ring day one edition. Well, it was like the original 360 with the white disc tray. Like the next iteration had a silver disc tray cover. He gave me his red ring 360 for $50, and my friend and I repaired it, and I still have it. We still use it for Minecraft and Rock Band during the holidays and stuff like that. And that thing is rock solid. It's pretty cool. We went to the hardware store and spent $8 on these long screws and some washers and a little thing of thermal paste. And you pull the thing apart and you add some extra space off the heat sink with the longer screws, and you wipe off the thermal paste, put new thermal paste in there, and it'll never fail again. Really? So the 360 is amazing. It was the pinnacle of gaming generation. I believe that it was the moment when every game could do it all. It could look amazing. It had the cinematics. The gameplay was top tier. There weren't any weird, you go and play pre-360 games and you shoot with like the B button. Oh, it's a cat. And yeah. I love the 360 generation. Yeah, so distracting. I love it. It's one of the things that's brought me into gaming and made me a psychopath because of it.
I'm right with you there. Logan, I can read some of our chat, or you can put the cat down and be on a podcast.
I'll put the cat down. It's okay. Lord forbid I enjoy a cat.
How dare you?
No, oh man. So I remember I was in Alaska. I moved up to Alaska back in 2005 and was immediately hit with depression because it's Alaska and it's terrible. And I survived purely off of like World of Warcraft. Like that was like everything in my life was World of Warcraft at that point. I was doing raids. I was doing world first content during Wrath of the Lich King. And I was just, that was what was getting me through them cold winter days. And then I eventually started going to like community theater and meeting people and getting back into life. And then I found the Xbox 360, and my friends showed me Rock Band at parties and Gears of War. And I was just blown away. I was like, this is not World of Warcraft. What is this? I feel like I'm cheating on my boys in my clan and stuff. And that was when I was like 2010. I was like, okay, I can't not live without this. So I bought an Xbox 360 and sat down with my boys, and we played all of the Gears of War. I went through all of the Mass Effects. Like I tried the Kinect. It was cute, but you know, like it was the Kinect, and it got me back into Xbox after I was done with Halo 2. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, you know, this is cool, but you know, I did the Dead or Alive. I did, you know, like Crazy Taxi. Like we had our fun. It was cool. And I gave up on Xbox and went back to PC. So when Gears of War and Rock Band were like at their height, that was when I was just like, this is amazing. Like this is the content I didn't know I wanted. And if it wasn't for my friends and just like those games, I probably wouldn't be back into console gaming, because it legit like sold me on consoles and getting out of just World of Warcraft at the time, because at the time I was like, yeah, $15 a month, I get as much content as I want through World of Warcraft. I'm set for life. And then I found Gears and Mass Effect 2 and Gears of War 2. And I was just like, oh my God. So then I went back to the Halos and I was like, things have changed in the console space. Yep. And it is hot. So yeah, Xbox 360 hands down goes down as like one of my favorite consoles of like just in general. Like I will always appreciate and love my time with that console.
Logan, I've got all these comments started about people sharing their 360 memories. Before I read them, I want you to know that you started a war in our chat because I do not like cats, and now they're all like, Luke, you're all about positivity. We got to have cats too. It's like, fine, fair. Yeah. Cats are allowed. Yeah. It's annoyingly accurate. Let's see. Ellery Woods Parker III says, this generation is my first Xbox, so sadly no Xbox 360 memories for me. Well, welcome to the world of Xbox. Of course, we know Ellery from our Discord. Incredible human being. Let's see. Rob Frawley says GTA was one of his 360 memories. He also cited Red Dead in another post. Red Dead Redemption was an incredible game for me, for sure. Rick Davis saying, I'll genuinely never forget the day Halo 3 came out. It was insane looking at your friends list and seeing everyone playing the same game. That world map was pure white in North America. There was something cool about like getting in on the ground floor of like online gaming and the console space and seeing everybody play the same thing. You don't see that often. I think I saw it with Elden Ring was the most recent one, but yeah, my friends list is pretty diverse now in terms of what people play, but those were the days, man. Harjeet pointing out 2007 is an epic year in gaming. That was like, was that Modern Warfare 4? No, the first Modern Warfare was Call of Duty. Modern Warfare.
Bioshock
was in there. I think one of the Gears was in there.
Mass Effect 1 was there.
Yep, that was such a good system, such a good year. And 2008 followed up really well. Like it was almost as good. Let's see, 2007 gaming. Let's see. If I'm pulling up an image.
Crackdown 1 in 07 too, Hargeet?
I think so. I love Crackdown. And you know what? I like Crackdown 3. I'll say it to everybody.
Hey, I loved it. I hated the multiplayer, but I loved the game. I thought it was super fun. It was great.
Money Rumble for charity let me buy the blue Crackdown 3 jacket. I have that downstairs. I love it.
Really?
I love Crackdown. Yeah. Let's see what other comments we have. A Coffee Chick says, I had the Halo edition. I still have the controller, but it drifts, so it's just a remote now. Oh, dude, put that on display. I love that. Or send us a picture. We totally put that on the show. Rick Davis saying 360 launch day collection was great. Quake 4, Perfect Dark Zero, Cameo, COD 2, when COD was good. How dare you? Condemned, Project Gotham 3. It was a great launch library. Then Oblivion shortly after. Yeah, the 360, man. The smoke effects in Call of Duty 2. That was crazy. Let's see. Guys, we have one question that I wanted to read that from Todd Oxtra. He said, and then we'll kind of get on out of here because I have a heart out anyhow. This question comes from Todd Oxtra. It says, beyond COD being an annual franchise and the back catalog drip feed, will we see any new IP or new games coming from Activision Blizzard King Studios? That's a great question. I think the drip feed is one I'm looking forward to as far as old games, but new IP coming out of Activision Blizzard. Colt, I'm going to send this one to you first to put you on the spot. Do you anticipate new IP from Activision Blizzard?
Yeah, Activision Blizzard built a new studio that is working on a AAA action adventure shooter, something like that. They have a new studio set to do that. So that's something we'll see in like 5 years, probably, or maybe 4 years. We'll actually get a reveal for that to see what that is. They canceled Project Odyssey, which is a MMO survival game, which would have been really awesome. So I don't know what Blizzard's working on. But I also expect every single game from Activision and Blizzard will be fully multi-plat. It'll release on PlayStation simultaneously. So that's the issue with Activision and Blizzard. I was partially against the Activision Blizzard merger for quite a while because I knew those games would probably be multi-platform, and those studios do not often make anything. They canceled the new Crash Bandicoot game that was in the works. We heard about that about a week or two ago. So when you look at Activision Blizzard Studios, and I broke down those studios in videos to get people to understand what it means for Xbox, they don't make those 30 amazing franchises that you can rattle off. They don't work on those anymore. All those studios now work on Call of Duty the machine. So I was against the Activision Blizzard merger in a lot of different ways at different times, back and forth, because I didn't know where I wanted to be on that. But there were many points where I was like, just stop this and use that money internally. But no, it's just a license to print money. That's a long answer. Sorry.
That was a good one, though. I think kind of in line with what Colt's saying, like we'll see new IP. There's definitely stuff that's in the works over at Blizzard. Don't know a whole lot of details, but I know that there's a couple projects that they're kind of spinning up, because I know there are board teams right now, so they're working on a couple of things. Whether we see those come to light, it's going to be hard to say, because they just, if it's not something that's really going to have that fun element, they tend to kind of back away from that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to new IP from Blizzard. I'm looking forward to new games and IP from Activision. Just depends on when things are ready. I think we've still got a ton of content that we're waiting, that was promised years ago from Xbox in general, that we'll hopefully see in the next 3-4 years come to it. Just all kind of depends on timing at that point.
Yeah.
The big thing I just wanted to, I want to see the best of those studios do something other than Call of Duty, but I cannot imagine a world where Xbox allows Call of Duty to fade, like to not be the priority, right? So that'll be interesting to see how they navigate that space. And if we see cross-pollination of teams, like do we see Coalition working to help with one of the Activision Blizzard studios? Do we see the COD teams working to help the shooting in Doom or anything like that? Oh, there it is. God. All right. I have a question for Logan. As a fellow wearer of old man hats, Irish hat, my friends just like to give me crap, says Rick Davis. What do you look for when you buy them? Well, here he is, Raylan Givens himself.
Pure, unadulterated style.
Logan went through some life changes recently, Colt, and on the net end of it, we got Logan wearing a cowboy hat. And I wasn't ready for it when it happened, but it does suit now that I'm used to it. But it took me a while to get used to it.
Luke doesn't like change.
I don't like change. That's true.
He doesn't like change.
That's my end on the spectrum. I don't like change. It's true.
Look for something that speaks to your person. The flat caps are really nice. I think they're underrated compared to the backwards ball caps. But yeah, go for something that speaks to you, even if it's outside your norm. It's like finding a nice guitar. You gotta find something that not only has good pickups, feels good in your hands, good weight, but it's got a little style to it. You like it.
Alrighty, guys. I think that's a good place for us to wrap up there. I want to point everybody to Colt's incredible channel. The link is in chat. It's also on the screen. But Colt, would you let people, first of all, thank you for joining us. It was an honor to have you here.
You're welcome. It's good. Thank you.
Also, let people know where to find your content, what you got coming. I know you do a lot for the Xbox community.
Oh, I mean, I'm trying. I'm working on a new video, hopefully for tomorrow or the next day. I haven't done anything in a couple weeks, so keep an eye out for that. It's Colt Eastwood on YouTube. That's Colt Eastwood, one word. And I'm also on Twitter talking about gaming. So I appreciate everybody who follows and checks out the stuff and supports, and really great people. It's a good community, and we're going to have too many games to play this fall. There are too many. There's like 8 that I want to play in September and October, November. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but I gotta hold out for like one more month. So I'm trying to find that one game that'll kind of satiate me until we get into the month. So thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. I hope check out Flintlock. See if it can't be that game for you, and if it's not,
I think it might be the one I'm going to do next. But Fallout London is crashing like every few minutes, so I'm like quick saving constantly and then reloading the game. which takes forever. So yeah, I was hoping I'm going to see if I can fix that. But Fallout London would be the game that keep me busy for a month if I can get it to work. So we'll see.
All right, fair enough. Captain.
This week, obviously going to be talking about Sea of Thieves Season 13. There's a ton of stuff to cover for Keelhauled. It's actually the Gold Hoarder episode this week, and we, I've got all the stuff that happened at Fest 11 Legends. There was an exclusive panel just with like the creative directors of Sea of Thieves that we got to watch and kind of get some fielded questions. So a little bit of feedback on that. Outside of that, just going to be looking forward to jumping into Flintlock this year, or this weekend, hopefully. Hopefully Gears of War 4 as well too. Definitely want to jump into that. There's too much, honestly. Like, I don't have enough time to be able to like go out and see Deadpool 3 and touch grass on the way.
It's really good.
Back and I know I really want to see it. I really want to go out and actually see it, and I have to go touch grass along the way. So I'm like trying to make sure that I get some time for all of this. But again, Colt, thank you for jumping in, man. Really good to talk to you. Good to meet you. Hopefully next year I'll actually get to see you in person and actually get to like, we can compare heights and do all the stupid stuff that men do when they get together.
Seem like it'd be a lot taller. Yeah.
Luke is scared by how tall I am at some point. He's gonna find out the hard way. But no, real big pleasure to have you on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, guys, thank you all in chat for listening. If you would like to be part of our community episode, Logan's got the Gold Hoarder episode for his Keelhauled community. We do the Xbox community episode at the end of every month. That'll be recording this coming week. So if you're a Patreon member or a channel member, you can be a part of that and join our Discord, which we really, really enjoy people being there, having good conversations. We love games. We cover Xbox. So we hope you guys will consider being a channel member or a patron and helping us out there. Join our community episode. I've got a couple interviews in scheduling right now, so I'm going to get back on the interview game, back to where I was. I took a break for mental health and enjoyed it, so I'm going to be back into doing some interviews there. Once again, check out Colt's episode. Have a fantastic rest of your week, everyone. Take care.